G'day everyone, welcome to That Other Show. That's it, we made it to December, which means you can freely wish people a Merry Christmas, install Christmas decorations, and you can also stop complaining about Christmas themes being in shopping centres too soon. That's because it's now officially the festive season. So unbuckle your belt and release that fly just a little to ensure premium relaxation as the somber tunes of this beautiful music takes over. This is episode 4 of That Other Show. Today is Friday, the 7th of December 2018, and I am your host, Lucas, and here with me is an overwhelming sense that I've forgotten something in the oven. During this show, I'll be talking about the following: a new Far Cry game to be announced at the Game Awards, Xbox fans are out of control, and I'll also play a game of that other description. Alright, so let's go into the first bit. Alright, so there's a new Far Cry game that's been leaked ahead of its official announcement at the Game Awards this year, and it looks interesting, but I've got a little bit more to it that I want to talk about. First, I'll just mention what we can see in what has been leaked. On the front cover, we've got a typical Far Cry label with the subtext or subtitle of New Dawn. And on the front cover, we've got two female, what looks like protagonists, and then in the background, we've got this guy who is strapped up to a car that's stuck into the ground. He kind of looks like the priest from Far Cry 5. But I can't really tell because it's quite small, but it does kind of look like him. And these two girls, one's holding like a modified crossbow, which has kind of like a circular saw blade modified onto it. So I guess it's maybe going to have modded weapons or maybe just far out weapons. And on the left side of the screen, we've got another female holding just a pistol, holding it up in the air. Both of them are ominously looking at the camera, kind of in a fourth wall breaking situation. But anyway, the girls kind of look like they could be twins or maybe just sisters or really just friends, who knows. But so I'm guessing you're going to be playing as one or both of those girls, and it may be some sort of closure for Far Cry 5. It looks like in the background we've got something that kind of looks like a church. It may have been one of the churches from Far Cry 5. But it definitely looks like it'll probably take place in the same world as Far Cry 5 as this little spin-off style Far Cry comes out. But apparently it's going to be announced fully at the Game Awards. So we'll probably know about a little bit more about that in the coming days. But anyway, it's interesting. But the thing that really is bugging me most is all of these leaks and these news and these announcements for these games by Ubisoft. And every single time this happens, I ask the question, where the hell is the new Splinter Cell game? There's no talk of it. The closest that we ever had to a Splinter Cell announcement was Sam Fisher's mission in that other game. What's it called? Ghost Recon Wildlands, where, Sam Fisher rocked up, did a little extra side mission, and that was about it. Oh, and then I think there was some backwards compatibility added for the Splinter Cell games on the Xbox. But that is about it. That's all we're getting. We're not getting anything for a new Splinter Cell game. Now, there's been a few things thrown around that Ubisoft don't want to make a new Splinter Cell game because it's not going to make them any money. It's not an MMO or anything like that. It's not The Division. But then neither is Far Cry. Far Cry is mostly a single-player campaign. It does have a multiplayer aspect to it, but it's not a massive community that I know of anyway. It's sort of just something on the side that you can do. It has co-op, but these things that Far Cry do that are multiplayer, are online and all of that sort of stuff can and have been implemented into Splinter Cell games of the past. Blacklist had co-op. I'm not sure if it had a multiplayer, but the one, I think the one before it did, maybe Conviction, had a multiplayer. I don't understand why the silence on Splinter Cell. What happened? Was it not popular? I feel like it was. I loved Splinter Cell. I thought it was an amazing game, but yet we don't have a current generation Splinter Cell game, and there hasn't even been any talk. It's not delayed. It's not nothing. We just don't know anything about it. Why is Ubisoft dropping Splinter Cell? I would like that to be an announcement. I feel like I'm repeating myself year after year after year, complaining I want another damn Splinter Cell game. I'm just a whinging fan at this point in time, but oh well, I guess we're all entitled to that a little bit, aren't we? Anyway, that's my issues, but there is a new Far Cry game coming for Far Cry fans. Me personally, Far Cry 5 did it. Far Cry 5 did it for me. I don't really have any interest in Far Cry anymore. It wasn't very good for me. All right, let's move on to one that I'm probably also going to get mad about, and that's these bloody Xbox fans. Right, let's move on to that. Xbox fans. I am one. I love my Xbox. I have an Xbox One X. I've got an Xbox One S. And I've also got the old school big fat Xbox original. And I use them all. And I love them. The Xbox One X is my primary console that sits in my lounge room. Beautiful for 4K. Excellent running at 1080p with super sampling. Beautiful graphics. Silent running. Runs so good. Oh, Game Pass. Don't get me started on Game Pass. There is so much stuff on there. It's just like the old days when you used to go into your movie rental store and you go to the game section, you just pick what you want. It's great, but it's even better than that because it's only, whatever, $10, $11 a month, and you can play any of them. Take as many as you want, download as many as you want, play them all if you've got time. It's great. Everything that Xbox is doing. Even Major Nelson, he posted up a reply to a guy on, I think it was on Twitter, who was asking for some suggestions for what games his mum can play. And then Major Nelson jumps on, replies and says, mate, I've just DM'd you a code for 12 months of Game Pass. There should be something in there for her to enjoy. Plenty of stuff in there for her to enjoy. Now, that's great PR. Now, that cost Microsoft, well, it's not cost to them, but it saved him about $120 or $110 for the year. But that's nothing to Microsoft. They can throw these things out and they're doing it for the greater cause, and it's making people love them. I understand that. Also, Phil Spencer, he's doing amazing things. He's turned Microsoft around. He's made Microsoft come from almost in the grave with the Xbox One launch, how it was a disaster. The PlayStation 4, I think, was at one stage selling 4-1. I think it's only 2-1 now. But it was doing really well against the Xbox, and the Xbox was almost dead in the water. What was his name? I can't remember his name. The head of Xbox at the time, I don't remember his name. But anyway, he ended up leaving and going to some other company, like a mobile company. And Phil Spencer stepped up into his place, and Phil Spencer has come leaps and bounds with Microsoft in tow since then. So 5 years on, Microsoft is in a good place, and it's doing really well. The issue that I have is that there are far too many Xbox fans taking this and running like it's owed to them, and like anything else is absolutely deplorable. Sony is a big issue here. There's a lot of complaining about Sony being absolutely ridiculous with what they're doing. They're not doing anything for the fans. They're only doing everything they're doing out of interest for their back pocket. Now, while that is probably true, they are doing a lot of things to make money. They are a business. I would dare say Microsoft are no different. They're trying to line their back pockets as well. They're obviously taking on a different tactic, and they're making people happy while they're lining their pockets. That's good business. It seems to be good practice. Now, I'm no business expert, but as a consumer, it looks to me like they're doing well because they'll be making a ton of money right now. They'll also be making a ton of people happy, and they're setting themselves up for a killer next generation. That's great. But one business or one party's success does not define another's failures. What it does do is put themselves in a position to beat their opposition or their competition. But it doesn't mean, we'll be specific here, it doesn't mean Sony is doing bad things. While they're not doing things that are particularly impressive, it is a letdown that they're not going to E3 2019. It is a letdown that they're not doing the PlayStation Experience this year. That's shit. But that's not something to get mad at. They're still doing their thing. You know, PlayStation is still there. The PlayStation Network is still there. I don't understand the hate, and I'm the furthest thing you'll get from a PlayStation fanboy, because I don't even play my PlayStation too much. I predominantly these days just play my exclusives on there because I prefer the infrastructure of the Xbox. I like watching my TV and YouTube through it. It's a little bit more user friendly. The remote control for it as well is first party and works better. But I can't be mad at PlayStation because they're not doing X and Y. It's a strange sort of phenomenon that people will say, I hate Sony, because essentially what they're saying is I hate them because they're not doing what Microsoft are doing. They're not catering to the needs and wants of the players. But I think they are. They're just not doing a very good job of being very PR conscious about it. So in saying that, Sony probably have dropped the ball a little bit in PR, advertising, things like that. And maybe it's their own sense of well-being. Maybe they're dropping these expensive ad campaigns because they feel they don't need it anymore. So it's a waste of money. And it sort of feels like to us, the consumers, that they are dropping off. But it's not necessarily the case. There's still a lot of things to look forward to in 2019 that Sony are doing for the PlayStation. You know, there's still a lot of big new IPs coming. Also, there's big sequels coming. And their console as a service is still running along really well. And they have a massive install base. This may be to their detriment, because while they are singing at the top, Microsoft and Xbox are building and building and building. And when the next generation comes along, the next consoles are released, the faith may have transferred across to the Xbox, which is good for Xbox. But I can't see what Sony are doing so bad to deserve any sort of hate. I'm being a little bit vague because I don't have things off the top of my head to just blurt out. But I feel like on Twitter, there are, and I don't understand, maybe it's the Twitter algorithms or something like that, but no matter how hard I try, I follow more and more and more Sony and PlayStation related accounts, yet they don't seem to show up in my feed. I don't know if they're just not tweeting, or if the algorithm doesn't want to show it to me because I've got a lot of Xbox stuff on mine, or I don't know exactly how that works. But all I seem to see is Xbox like biased accounts just shitting on PlayStation. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the PlayStation accounts aren't out there shitting on Xbox, because they're there. I've searched for them. They're definitely there. There are jerk PlayStation fanboys that will lay shit on the Xbox. It's underpowered, it's this, it's that, there's no games. Oh, okay, you've got the most powerful console now, but you've got no games. Well, that's bullshit. There are fantastic games on the Xbox One, and the Xbox One X does play them very, very well. Arguably, in fact, as well as opinion, console, it does play them a lot better than the PlayStation or the PlayStation Pro, and that's simply because the console is more powerful. That's fact. You can't argue that. But the mindless, biased hate that goes both ways, arguably that's fine. Yes, it does go both ways. I don't know why it's more prevalent that I see all the Xbox people hating on the PlayStation more than the other way around. It's got to be something to do with the algorithms. Maybe the way I've set up my account, I don't know. But it's really starting to grind my gears. Constantly people are, even when it's a an Xbox positive post, and I will jump on there and I will agree. Yes, okay, the Xbox One X is doing amazing things. Somehow that turns into bashing Sony. Oh dear. There's a specific person that may be listening to this that feel I'm directing this at them. I'm not specifically directing this at anybody, but you know these people are fuel for how I'm reacting right now. I'm tired of it. I don't understand why people can't be fans of one thing without being haters of the other. And if you've got good reasons for why you dislike one or the other, I don't know why this can't be conveyed. Let's talk about that. If you're listening to this and you've got a strong opinion for one and not the other, can you make a comment? Please just scroll down right now. While you're listening to this, scroll down to the comment section. Start typing. I really dislike Sony. I really dislike Xbox because... It's as simple as that, and give a good reason why. I don't like them because my PlayStation blew up and they wouldn't repair it. I would probably understand a dislike for the company then. Well, saying I dislike Xbox because they're shit, like that's a bad reason, because it's pathetic and it doesn't really give any answers. That's what grinds my gears, is when somebody tries to have an argument or a conversation or a Twitter-a-thon or a Twitter fight or whatever it is without really giving any explanations as to why they feel the way they feel. If you're going to give strong opinions, you'd probably say why. But I don't understand why. And I don't believe that because PlayStation aren't doing E3 next year, that's shit. I don't like that at all. But it's not something that I'd hold against them. I'd be like, oh, well, that's disappointing. That's pretty shit house. And it may have adverse effects on my decisions going forward, but that's their problem. You know, if they bring out good things, sort of stuff, and I like them, say good games, and I like them and I want to play them, I won't boycott them simply because they did things like didn't go to E3 and didn't do their show at the end of 2018, all that sort of stuff. I feel like that's just biased, really. It's just liking one thing so much that you hate the other. I just feel like that's... I want to surround myself with people that can voice their opinions, giving reasons why. And there's not a lot of people willing to do that. And I think part of the problem is some of these people don't even know themselves. Right, well, I think I've gone on long enough for that, so I really want some comments on this. Keep it reasonable. You know, there's too much negativity in the world. If you disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. Don't be a dick about it. You know, there's so many comments that get put on my videos, and they have really good points, but they're delivered in such a way that I look at it and go, you're just an asshole. So I just ignore the comment and don't reply. But anyway, let's move on to the last bit, which is that other description. All right, so if you don't know what this is a game where I'm going to read out a description that I've got off the internet somewhere of a game. And from the description alone, you have to tell me, go into our Discord channel, go to the That Other Show text field, and write a message. Say, hey man, I know what that other description from episode 4 is. It's this game. If you're correct, I'll let you know. Also, obviously, for this description, I've removed keywords that would give away what the game is. All right, here is that other description. The main games in this series are set in an open world and presented from the third-person perspective, where the protagonists take down targets using their combat and stealth skills with the exploitation of the environment. Freedom of exploration is given to the player, with historical accuracy being given a little bit of freedom. Apart from single-player missions, some games also provide competitive and cooperative multiplayer gameplay. While main games are produced for major consoles and desktop platforms, multiple games have been released for mobiles and handheld platforms. So, do you know what that other description is? If you're right, let us know. Alright, let's finish the show. Well, that is it for this episode of That Other Show. If there isn't enough content in this show, then you absolutely need to go and check out Aussie Gamers Express Video Game Podcast. And this is hosted by Snoogs, Rem, and Greggio. Now, check the links in the description down below or up above, wherever it is, and you can go and check that one out. You can also just search for Aussie Gamers Express on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and a ton more as well. This is likely, but not absolutely, but it may be my last show of That Other Show until Christmas. I might have time. Actually, I probably will have time. No, I won't say Merry Christmas just yet. Hopefully I get... Well, look, if I don't, Merry Christmas, have a safe New Year, and I'll see you in the New Year. But there might be maybe a couple more shows before then. But anyway, catch you all next time. Whenever that is. See ya.